everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today's presentation will discuss using the focus assessment to explore majors. As we move through this presentation, you're welcome to grab a writing utensil and something to write on, or open a Word document. We will ask you to reflect on your experiences and interests, and you'll get the most out of this time if you're able to do so immediately. My name is Ashley Penner, and I am an Associate Director in the University Career Center.
My name is Stephanie Harding, and I am a career counselor at the Career Center, and I'm also an LPC.
And my name is Monica Gomez. I'm also one of the career counselors at the University Career Center. I just recently completed my master's in counselor education at Texas Tech a couple weeks ago. And before that, I earned my bachelor's degree in mathematics from Texas Tech as well. And before we get started with this presentation, I just wanted to share with you all a little bit of my story about how I came about choosing my majors. So as an undergrad at Tech, I actually changed my major 5 times. And while I completed an undergraduate degree that I enjoyed, I knew that I wanted to pursue a graduate degree in a different subject area. During my senior year, I met with one of the counselors at the Career Center, and we went over my career assessment results. Through that exploration meeting, I was able to discover which master's program would be a good fit for me based on the information that we discussed from the focus and a few other assessments. I like to think that if I had met with someone from the Career Center sooner during my first year of college, I wouldn't have had to change my major 5 times and maybe would have only had to change it once. And I say all of this just to share with you some encouragement to know that it's all right if you change your mind, and it's all right if you are very certain. We're glad that you're here today to use the resources that you have here at Tech, and we're ready to get started.
Before we get going into the focus assessment and choosing a major, we want to take a moment and check in with where you might be regarding choosing your major. On this slide, you'll see a scale of 1 to 5. 1 meaning you're completely unsure about your major choice, and 5 meaning that you're completely confident in your major. Take a second to think about where you are, and when you're ready, hold up that many fingers to yourself. Know that it's okay to not know, and it is also okay to be at a 5. Think about if you're moving up or down on this scale. It's also important to remember that there's no one right way to measure on this scale. And it's not uncommon to change your major. It happens more frequently than you might think. The purpose of this presentation is not for you to make a major decision today, but to highlight some steps that are needed for exploration and some resources Texas Tech provides to facilitate that exploration. Today, we'll go over the ideas of the career planning process, the Holland Code, and we'll give you an introduction to the focus.
Whether you are completely sure, completely unsure, or somewhere in between, it is important to remember that figuring out your career path is not a one-time decision. It's a process that involves time, knowledge, and self-reflection. The graphic on this slide identifies some factors you might consider when making a decision about a major or future career. Your personality and values, interests and background, skills and talents, and education and marketability all play a role in this choice. And this is the point in the slides where we suggest grabbing that writing utensil and following along with the prompts that we provide.
Let's look at the first block. Our personality and values are often related, but not always. This section focuses on who you are. Your personality can be thought of as a combination of characteristics and qualities that combine to make your character. Your personality often informs how you approach situations. Are you outgoing or more reserved? Do you prefer to process internally and thoroughly analyze problems before speaking, or are you someone who processes out loud? Do you prioritize feelings or logic when making decisions? Your values are what you prioritize. Some examples include family, a high income, serving others, promoting social justice, environmentalism, and other related ideas. What motivates you in life?
Other areas to think about are your interests and background. Think about your interests. What do you enjoy doing or learning about? What kind of hobbies do you enjoy? What kind of activities do you like to do? Also, what have you always dreamed about doing? Think about what you wanted to do when you were a little kid. When I was little, I dreamed of being a spy because I loved the book Harriet the Spy. And while I didn't end up pursuing that career, the interests of mining for information, problem solving, and developing curiosity are all things that I do use as a career counselor. Think about if money and time were no objects, what would be your dream job? Also consider, where is your experience? Have you done volunteer work, school, or work projects that have given you experiential learning toward a career? Does a certain field of occupation run through your family?
When thinking about what to pursue as a major, consider area at which you excel, things that you are really good at doing. Some of you may know exactly what this is, but for those who still need help discovering, think about class assignments that you find yourself drawn to, the way you contribute to your after-school activities, the role that you play on a team, or the unique perspective that you bring to your group of friends. Think about things that come naturally to you, a talent that you've had since you were little. Think about things that you've been working on consistently, a skill that you've put time into developing. And then consider what environments allow you to have the opportunity to do what you do best every day. A great question to ask yourself is, what do I do in a day that makes time fly? It can also be helpful to get some outside perspective on this as well. So ask your family, teachers, or friends to get feedback on what you do well.
How much education and training are you willing to complete? Education and marketability are especially relevant as you think about entering college. Some degrees will point you to a very specific career field, such as accounting or engineering. Training and practice and technical skills are incorporated into the class, and you can often use the major as a key word in a job search. There are also majors that are more broad within the liberal arts. Degrees such as English, philosophy, political science, or psychology may not be tied to a specific career field. You can steer the direction of your career through your internship and work experiences coupled with your academic knowledge. Another factor to consider is the job outlook for potential careers you're considering. Will there be a lot of growth in that area? I hope the last section allowed you the opportunity to think about some different factors that impact your major choice. In this next section, we are going to talk about some of the background that goes into the focus assessment. Knowing this information ahead of time will help you be informed on what the assessment is measuring and how that aligns with different majors and occupations.
Some of the results in the focus are organized around the Holland's hexagon, which includes 6 categories. John Holland, a well-known theorist within career counseling, divided the world of work into 6 categories that are shown in the slide here. These categories can also apply to an individual's personality. It is said that we're more likely to be satisfied by a work environment that corresponds with our personality. Holland's theory was that if we seek careers according to our interests, then we'll be happy in our work. He created this hexagon called the Ryesigh. Each category possesses elements unique to interests within. The categories are realistic, investigative, artistic, social, enterprising, and conventional. As part of the work and leisure interest assessments, you'll receive a 3-letter code called your Holland code that best fits your assessment results. Let's explore these 6 categories.
Each of these 6 areas have interests, occupational activities, personality traits, and values that align with them. The realistic interest incorporates operating machines and equipment, using tools, building, repairing, and providing security. This isn't only focused on construction, but can encompass computer networks as well. Another side of this interest involves athletics and working outdoors. Any type of hands-on, physically engaging activity would fall into the realistic area. Careers that align with this interest can fall within athletics, construction, military and protective services, or really any job that requires you to be physically moving a lot. People with a realistic interest may value a high work ethic, practicality, common sense, and tradition.
Those with the investigative interest prefer working with ideas and abstract problems. Considered the thinkers of the world, they are often described as analytical, logical, curious, intellectual, and independent. People with this interest usually enjoy math, science, technology, or research. Their genuine desire to understand and explore ideas that may lead to new solutions for complex problems in the workplace. Potential occupations associated with this interest include physician, economist, professor, historian, engineer, psychologist, mathematician, computer scientist, and marketing research analyst.
Those who have the artistic theme like to create. They possess artistic, innovative, or intuitional tendencies, which leads to a preference for unstructured settings that allow them to use their imagination and their creativity. Some potential occupations include advertising, journalism, architecture, law, graphic design, dance, theater, and landscape architect. People with the enterprising interest theme like to persuade others. They typically like to encourage, influence, perform, lead, or manage organizational goals or contribute to a company's economic goals. Some occupations associated with this interest include marketing, public relations, sales, politics, real estate, financial planning, CEO, and stockbroker.
People with a social interest have a desire to help people. This drives their actions. Not all people who have a social interest would consider themselves to be outgoing or gregarious. Instead, it refers to their desire to meet the needs of other people. The number one social occupation is teaching, but counseling, human resources, and healthcare professions that focus on supporting patients also fall into the social interest. Potential skills for people with a high social interest include people skills, verbal ability, listening, and showing understanding.
Those with the conventional interest prefer working with data and numbers. Considered the organizers of the world, they are often described as methodical, practical, efficient, thorough, and precise. People with this interest usually enjoy accuracy, stability, and predictability. Their attention to detail and ability to follow through on tasks make them reliable and dependable workers. Potential occupations associated with this interest include accountant, financial analyst, software developer, computer programmer, administrative assistant, auditor, actuary, and human resources assistant.
Now that we've reviewed the background of the Holland Code, let's switch gears. The Focus is a valuable tool designed to help illuminate majors that align with your interests. It's important to remember that the assessment isn't measuring how good you are in these areas, but highlighting areas you might like to pursue. One thing to be aware of before you start the Focus is that you're going to get a lot of information. It's up to you to determine which factors carry the most weight. To get started with the Focus, visit the URL on your screen, http://bit.ly/UCC Focus. You will click on the Register button to create your account. Complete the form on the next page to set up your account. You will need to enter the access code, lowercase red raider, and one word with no spaces in order to successfully create your account. There are 5 different assessments within the focus. Each takes approximately 5 minutes to complete. To take them, click on Start in each section and answer the prompts. The work interest assessment asks you to identify how interested you are in varying work tasks and responsibility. The results are organized around Holland's 6 categories, which we reviewed earlier. The leisure interest assessment is also framed around those 6 categories, but focused on activities outside of the workplace. You might find overlap with your work interests, but they could also be different. The personality assessment explores some of your potential personality preferences. Once you complete this assessment, you're provided with a short description and list of words that may describe you. The values section presents you with a list of values related to occupations and asks you to narrow down your potential values to your top 3. The skills section asks you to reflect on your top skills and also narrow down those skills to the top 3. Both of these rely on your own understanding of your values and skills. Use the prompts we discussed earlier to get a better understanding of what these could be for you. As Monica said earlier, this could also be a good time to consult with family and friends if you feel conflicted. One important note about the assessments is that you can take them as many times as you would like. After you've taken the assessments, a Start Over button will appear, which will allow you to start from scratch. This can be helpful if you find yourself unsure and needing to reevaluate any of these areas.
This slide shows an example of what results from the work interest assessment will look like. When you first complete the assessment, you will see the image on the slide. You are given a graph that shows the order of your preference for Holland's 6 categories. You can also see your top 3 categories, which is often called your Holland code. Knowing your Holland code can help you identify work environments that might be a good fit for you. Below the graph, you're given additional information about the categories, and if you scroll to the bottom of this page, there's a button that will say Continue, which will lead you to a new page that will show on the next slide. This page provides more information about what occupations and majors that are similar to the results that you received based on the work interest assessment. The results for the leisure interest assessment will look very similar to this. This slide shows an example of what the results from the values interest assessment would look like. It highlights the 3 values that you selected at the top and then provides, again, more information about those occupations and majors that are associated with those values and based on your results. The results for the personality and skills assessment will look similar to this. Looking at that list of occupations, you can click on the title of an occupation that interests you to learn more about it. One feature that you can access after clicking on a specific occupation is a graph like the one shown. You are able to compare your work interest results to the results of someone in that occupation. Notice the student's interest in green and that of a career or guidance counselor is in coral. In this graph, you can see the student has similar results to the occupation they are viewing. Although there isn't an exact match, the trends and preference are fairly similar. You could conclude that a student pursuing this occupation may find satisfaction in a job as a career or guidance counselor. Now let's look at the comparison graphic of the same student with another occupation. In this graph, you can see that the student has some dissimilar results to an actuary. While this student's results aren't exactly aligned with an actuary, this doesn't mean the student couldn't be an actuary. You don't have to be a perfect fit for the job, but it might mean that you would need to approach the work differently or you would enjoy different aspects of the job. Also note that this graph is only comparing a student's work interest profile to the work interest profile of someone in that job. It would be beneficial to explore other aspects of the focus before making any definite decisions. One feature that can allow for further exploration is combining the results of all of the assessments. After you take each assessment, you have the option to combine those results, which we will review in the next few slides.
On this slide of how to combine your results, you'll see a screen that will let you know if you haven't completed an assessment. When you're ready, click on Combine Assessments. Select the assessments that you felt were most accurate for you, then click on Continue. Be aware that the skills assessment may be influenced by your interests and may not present a realistic picture of your actual skills. For example, I'm interested in being a speech pathologist, but I don't have elevated skills in science, and that would create a challenge for me to succeed. After clicking on Continue, you'll see a list of occupations that align with all the assessments that you selected. Next to each occupation, you'll also see majors that could lead to that career path. You will likely see more results the further down the list that you go. Focus on which assessments your results align with. Notice if the occupations included all the assessments you chose to combine or only a few. The hyperlink next to the major will take you to the Texas Tech course catalog to allow you to see information about that major at Texas Tech. If you decide to save a major, you can make a brief note in this section about why this major interests you. Remember that saving a major doesn't mean that you're choosing a major. This is adaptable, just as your career planning is adaptable. And remember that career planning is a process and it takes time. At the bottom of your home screen, you'll be able to access the majors and the occupations that you've saved so that you can return to them later.
The benefit of using the assessments within the focus is that they are geared towards Texas Tech majors. We also have additional tools to explore potential majors and occupations on the University Career Center homepage. We'll show you that URL at the end of our presentation. Now let's check back in at the number that we decided at the beginning of this presentation. Remember, it's okay if we're at a 1 and it's okay if we're at a 5. You'll need to think through about your confidence in your major multiple times throughout your college career, and it's always okay to see how confident you are in your choice. Use the resources you have available to you to make sure you're making an informed choice and be as confident as possible in the journey. If you're an incoming student to Texas Tech, you'll be able to verify what your current major is by checking your Radar Connect account. Developing self-awareness is important to both your academic career and your career after graduation. You might find that the focus either confirms your choice or helps you consider new possibilities. Again, Radar Connect will help you verify what your current major choice is. If you are a current student, you can verify that major in your Radar Link account. If you're incoming, you will meet with an academic advisor from the college that you were admitted to at Radar orientation. If you are considering changing your major, it is recommended that you do so 48 hours before attending RRO to ensure that you get the most out of your advising and class registration sessions. Additionally, scholarship and financial aid opportunities may differ for each academic major. If you have questions as an incoming student, we direct you to or encourage you to contact admissions at admissions@ttu.edu or 806-742-1480. If you have questions about the focus assessment, choosing a major, choosing a career, or anything related to your career development, contact the University Career Center. You're welcome to call our front desk at 806-742-2210. Our URL, www.careercenter.ttu.edu, is also a very valuable resource to help guide your exploration and talk more about what the Career Center offers. Our goal is to see Red Raiders succeed, whether you're a student or an alumni. We'll leave you with this quote. The most difficult thing is the decision to act. The rest is merely tenacity. The fears are paper tigers. You can do anything you decide to do. You can act to change and control your life, and the process is its own reward. Amelia Earhart. Again, if you have questions, please give us a call at 806-742-2210. Thank you and have a great day.